I got in a car accident and I didn't call my mother. Why? When I was 16, 17 years old, it was the day before the prom, that's why I remember it. I got into a car accident. My head cracked the windshield and my eyebrow, all the skin on my eyebrow basically came off, and the underneath my eye was all open and it was just bleeding down the side of my face. Thank God it could have been worse, but it was still, enough where, they put me in the ambulance, they took me to the hospital. They wanted to see what they could repair. There wasn't much skin to reattach, so they couldn't even do stitches. So it was kind of much like a cleaning and, giving me some antibiotics and some shots like above my eye, which is a little scary. But thank God I didn't lose vision and everything like that. I was, in the hospital for a few hours getting some checks on a concussion and things like that. Thank God, again, nothing serious. But what I want to share with you, one of the things that I carry in my life is, why didn't I call my mother? My mother is a good woman. I love my mother. She loves me. She's been a blessing. I wouldn't choose any other mother. The reason I didn't call her is because she has high anxiety. She gets nervous, and it's tough for her to mentally process some things. So if I would have called her, I know she would have went, "Oh, are you okay? Are you okay? Is everything okay?" And I couldn't handle that at that moment. When we get hurt, whether it's physically, emotionally, if we get hurt in any way, our being is raw, meaning we can't take any more hurt anywhere else. We can't take any more demand on our being. And I know my mother coming in that hospital room when I was on the bed, when I was, had my face all bandaged up, and I was a little bit nervous about, one is if I was okay, and two is, cosmetically, the nurses wouldn't even let me look at the mirror. They're like, "We don't want you to get upset if you look at the mirror." And so I'm a little like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with my face?" The last thing I needed was another emotional tax. The last thing I needed was my mother to come in that room and say, "Oh, are you okay? Are you okay?" Not because I loved her and she loved me, but I just couldn't take anymore. Another thing that ties into that, when I had first begun to get a leadership role at a company, the boss had put me in charge of basically executing a project, running a procedure. And he said, "Sam, when you run this procedure, you need to know whatever tone you set, however you lead this, everyone around you will feed into that emotion. If you're calm, for the most part, everybody around you will be calm. But if you get nervous, everyone around you is going to get nervous." He goes, "You have to be mindful that you set the right tone. Because if I got the procedure in my hand, if I'm trying to execute this project and it could get dangerous, and I'm saying, all right, we need to do this, 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 and then I get, oh my God, do we do this? Like everybody else gets that nervous. That's a transfer, emotional transfer. I've talked about that before. So we are all human. I still get emotional sometimes, and I could, and my mother, everybody still gets emotional sometimes. So this is not to bark at anybody and say, "Look, you can't be like that." We're human. We're human. We have emotions, and sometimes we get nervous and we shouldn't. Sometimes we put a burden on others we shouldn't. But this is a message to myself and to anybody else who needs to hear it and who wants to hear it, is that we need to be mindful that when other people are in an emotionally raw state or emotionally physical state, when other people are hurt, the last thing they need is someone else being, "Oh my God, are you okay?" That just adds more hurt to that person. If you're a parent, caretaker, leader, friend, lover, doesn't matter. Make a mental note that when someone is in a vulnerable position, when somebody is sick, hurting, in the hospital, doesn't matter, any type of way, less words are better, and a calm spirit is the best gift you can give them. Forget the flowers going to the hospital. Forget, bringing somebody something to eat. Forget bringing them soup. When somebody's really hurting, the best thing you can do is minimize your words, have a calm demeanor, and, be compassionate and be loving, but be calm. Calmness is a gift when someone is hurting. Emotional instability is another burden on that person when they're hurting. Try to remain calm. Less words. That's a gift to somebody who needs it. When you are a leader in charge of a project, remain as calm as possible. Even if things are a little bit scary, realize that as a leader, you have to know everyone else is scared too. So, you getting scared ain't going to make it any better. I remember, too, one time I was doing something, again, I was in the electrical field for a while as far as working with my hands, being an electrical contractor and starting my career as an electrician. And we were cutting into this live switchgear. And, we couldn't bring it down. It was like a hospital thing, and it was like an emergency situation. Reflecting, we probably should have been planning to bring it down, but at that time I was a young apprentice and I didn't want to speak up. It's a lesson learned there too. But we were doing this job and on this live equipment, which we probably shouldn't have been now that I'm really thinking about this. But I didn't want to speak up, so I was just doing it, and my hands were shaking, and I was like, oh my God, and I was working with another guy. He was like my journeyman. He was like somebody that would oversee me, but he was emotionally a little bit immature, and he was a little bit unsure of himself. Great guy, but you know what I mean? And so I'm working on this piece of equipment, and I'm like, bro, I'm scared. He's like, Sam, I'm scared too. Please, don't make me more scared. You understand what I'm saying? This all ties in. So that's what I want to share. Remain calm, especially if you're a parent, caretaker, or a leader. This is a life lesson here. Remain calm, less words, and other people are already scared, so don't make them more scared. All right? Stay inspired.